Hi everyone, welcome to week 8 of Work 1004, the Foundations of Management. So in this week, we talk about the second function of management. The second function of management contains management and organization, or organizing. So without further ado, let's just get into the notes. So management and organizing. As I talked about, this is the second of the big four foundations of management. So, organizing really has the definition of the deployment of organizational resources to achieve strategic goals. So, organizing organization is such a broad idea, but having this concrete definition of deployment of organizational resources to achieve strategic goals is a really good way to think about the concept of organizing. How do we how are we going to get there? That's the idea of organizing. Whereas previously, planning is where are we going? Where the hell are we heading as an organization? Organizing is more of talking about the practical. How are we getting it? How are the steps? How are we taking? What are we doing? What are we doing with our resources? Human resources, operational resources. What are we doing in terms of our resources to get us to our goals? So we have organizational structures. These set a formal task and assigned to individuals and departments. These also formalize reporting relationships as well as design a system of coordination among employees and resources. So within organizations, we have work specialization. So work specialization is really a degree in which the organization subdivides individuals' jobs to the division of labor. Too much specialization undermines motivation and can be boring, creates silo effects, and lacks of informational flows. So if we think about most organizations, let's just randomly think of Dunder Mifflin. Okay, Dunder Mifflin, the paper company, the fictional paper company. So we have the sales department, we have accounting department, we have quality assurance. What else do we have? Customer relations, and of course we have management on top overseeing all of these work specializations. So we have some degree of work specialization. However, we do not want to be too specialized to the point where tasks could be too boring and tasks could be too repetitive. Also, another problem with work specialization is the silo effect, where components within an organization only think about their own goals, only think about their own objectives, and only think about their own tasks, and do not see the company as a big picture organization. So rather than seeing sales department, marketing department, customer service, quality assurance, and accounting as separate entities, we should see it as organs within the same organization. So this is to avoid the silo effects. Authority, responsibility, and delegations of the organizational charts. So organizational design. We have talked about organizational design in some depth previously. However, this really reiterates some of the concepts. So centralization is the idea of the amount of authority of management. So how centralized is the organization? So there could be, it is a broad spectrum from very centralized very centralized, where management does all the shots, management does all the planning, management does all the application, to very decentralized, where where decisions are done in a group effort, for example, where authority lies near lower levels. Second, we have formalization. So whether or not rules are enshrined in written form, or whether or not rules are more indirect and rules are more cultural. So some difference between tall structures is what we call, more hierarchical, more centralized, versus flat structures. So tall structures are narrow spans of control, more hierarchical, and has characteristics of slower decision making. Whereas flat structures have broader spans of control. They trend towards these more humanistic elements, whereas more tall structures have more hierarchical elements, and there are relatively low hierarchical levels. Okay, departmentalization, how to organize a structure. So we have functional structures grouped by similar skilled. Here are some advantages and disadvantages. Divisional structure, where each division will have its own function. Here are some advantages and disadvantages. Matrix approach, which is really quite a revolutionized way, but some industries should adopt it, while some industries should certainly stay away from matrix structures, utilizes both functional and divisional structures, attempts to improve horizontal coordination and information sharing. This is the idea of two bosses. Advantages are integrated knowledge, flexibility, and allows for dual dimensions. However, some major disadvantages, which could certainly outweigh the advantages, includes length of decision-making time, unclear job and task responsibilities, as well as unclear cost and profit responsibilities, and a higher degree of conflict. So a lot of theories are good in nature or good in theory. However, in application, they are very bland. Team-based approach, different functional teams work together, advantages and disadvantages. So these are all about replacing formal structures with informal structures. Rather than having hierarchy and having rules written into the company, we have norms and customs and culture, a culture of communication, a culture of accountability and whatnot. Advantages and disadvantages of network structures. Advantages, have greater work flexibility, greater competitiveness, and reduce administrative overhead. Whereas loss of control, lose of control over organizational parts, employee loyalty weakening could be some disadvantages to the network structures. So here's a handy diagram that illustrates the relationship between organizational goals and team structures. So strategic goals could be seen on the y-axis, whereas different structures of teams could be seen on the x-axis. So as we could see, strategic goals decreases and strategic goals of leadership and stability decreases as strategic goals of differentiation, innovation, and flexibility increases. So it's really all adapting the management structure and the structure that is most appropriate for your firm. So we have authority, refers to the formal and legitimate right of managers to make decisions, issue orders, or allocate resources to achieve organization's desired outcomes. This is very authoritarian companies have very high hierarchies. Line versus staff authority, hierarchy. In summary, there are 5 main organizational structures: functional, divisional, network, matrix, and team-based, as we have seen right here. Okay. And team-based, these organizational structures must fit the organization's strategy. Obviously, some industries may have more flexible, such as network or matrix, and team-based structures will be better, such as innovation, tech startups and whatnot. However, hospitals, fire departments, government bureaucracies, perhaps having functional organizational structures is actually a lot better. They get things done faster, they're more efficient, they are more direct and more straightforward. So it really comes down to choosing the right organizational structure that fits the organization's strategy. Organizational structure influences how authority is exercised. It's quite straightforward. Individuals respond differently to different forms of structure in authority. Okay, so I think that's a good summary. So I think that's a good summary of Week 8 of Work 1004 Foundations of Management. I do hope you found something helpful from this video, and I'll hope to see you guys next time. Without further ado, take care and goodbye.